Hello and welcome to Safe and Sound, a podcast about the intersection of music and mental health. I'm your host, Jeremy Houtsma, licensed mental health therapist. The year is 2004, and a 21-year-old me had moved out for a summer across the United States to a small town called Bellingham, Washington. I was living with a bunch of guys my brother knew in a house. It was a blast. There's something nostalgic about being in your 20s, scraping by, but having a blast with your friends. It's hard to describe. One of my friends at that house was Mike. He was a huge tech geek. One day, as we were sitting around, he says, "Guys, you have to check out this website. It's called Pandora. Type in songs that you like and it'll automatically start playing songs like the one you typed in. And it learns what kind of style you like based on songs you like and don't like." It kind of blew my mind at the time. I was heavily into bands like Taking Back Sunday, Glassjaw, and Coheed and Cambria. One of the bands that popped up on Pandora was Braid, and subsequently Hey Mercedes. I was instantly hooked. Never Will Come For Us by Braid was especially one of my favorites. Something about the sad melody just instantly gripped me. I've always been like that. Music moves me in certain feelings and ways. It both uplifts me and sometimes makes me sad. I think that's what it's like for most people. When somebody tells me that they have no interest in music or don't really listen to music, it kind of messes with me because music is such a huge part of my life. When I hear certain bands and music, my brain takes me back to memories both good and bad. Fortunately for me, Braid and Hey Mercedes takes me back to the summer days where I was just scraping by, but I'd also made the best friends I ever had. My guest is Bob Nanna, guitar player and lead vocalist for Braid, Hey Mercedes, and his solo project, City on Film. Bob's life story is one of hard work, creativity, loss, and self-discovery through music, and in the past few years, therapy. 21-year-old me would be freaking out right now about who I'm talking to. Who am I kidding? I was freaking out while I was talking to him now at 42. But I'm going to shut up now and just get to the interview.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am doing just dandy. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no sweat. Thank you for asking.
Well, first of all, you live in Chicago, right?
I do.
How are you a Bears fan, Blackhawks, Cubs fan? None of the teams?
I'm a Bears fan.
Okay.
I'm a Bears fan. I grew up here. I'm born and raised and still here after 50 years. But it was particularly, I'm not really, I'll go to baseball games and I have a lot of really good friends of mine are Cubs fans. So, they go to all the Cubs games and, I'll root for the Cubs, like when they were in the playoffs, I'll root for them, but I'm not like anti-White Sox or anything like that. But, I don't really follow the Bulls or Blackhawks. I don't know. I have a specific bandwidth that I dedicate to the sports teams and so it's really just football because it's a short season.
Right.
There are only games on the weekends. So it's easy for me to manage in terms of my caseload. But so my whole life I've been a Bears fan and a football fan because of my dad.
I'm a big fan of Braid and Hey Mercedes, and I've always been. Your guys are coming off the heels of Best Friends Forever Festival, correct?
Yeah.
How'd that go for you?
Really great.
Yeah.
It was really fun. That festival in general so Braid played it last year.
Yeah.
And it was the first one last year. And I just had such a great time, seeing all of these bands that I hadn't really seen play in a long, long time, all playing together, right?
Yeah.
So it's like us and karate and jawbox and American football and Captain Jazz. So Sunny Day, like it was incredible. And I was able to see not only all of these old friends of mine that were in bands, but all these old friends of mine that, used to come to shows back in the day that are now my age and have kids of their own and they're bringing. So it's pretty cool. And then like similarly, so I went, when I was there last year, I thought we got to come back.
Yeah.
Hey Mercedes had been sort of kicking around playing some shows, so it worked out nicely that we were able to play this year, and it was just it was so much fun. So yeah,
it was such a stacked lineup, and if I wasn't so fucking house poor right now, I would have gone for sure. There's all these like festivals happening that it's. I don't know. You
Yeah.
guys played Furnace Fest too, I think, right? At one point.
Braid, yes, not
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Braid, not Hey Mercedes.
Yeah. So Hey Mercedes has not been active in how many years up until this
About
point?
8 years.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go do it?
Well, we're trying to get all of our releases reissued, um, which I hope I'm not letting cats out of the bag there, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that we've been trying to do that for a long time. There is I believe it might be an anniversary of some sort, maybe for Loses Control.
Okay.
But regardless, it was just I don't know. We wanted to do it like and there was this opportunity to play Big Best Friends Forever, and we're going to do a little tiny bit of touring next year, and maybe some more festivals and stuff. But yeah, it was just we wanted to do it. We were available, and we like. Thankfully, we still like the songs.
Sure. And I mean, don't be ashamed to say money either.
Money's not no the money aspect isn't bad. What's funny is you know we're all old, right? We're
Right.
we're we're, we're older, right? So we can't we just can't financially. I mean, this sucks. It really sucks for like younger bands right now that are like having to go tour and stuff because they're really feeling the crunch of just there's no, the just the financial weight of going on tour, whether it's
Sure.
gas prices, food prices, people ticket prices
Right.
that they people can't afford, or like people not buying merch or some shit like that. It's really really rough, but we're fortunate enough now that when we play, I mean, fortunate maybe isn't the right word, but we it has we can't just go. Maybe I could if I needed to because I work remotely, but like we can't just jump in a van and go on a
Oh,
six
sure.
week tour
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
because we all have, to an extent, families that we need to care for in one
Right.
way or another, right? So it's just would be irresponsible, I think, for us to do. So, like I said, I'll get to fortunate. I mean, we're fortunate enough that like we're able to play at a festival and we can all take the time off to do it, and we're not going to be like neglecting our
Right.
lives. Yep.
And your bodies. Can't sleep on the back bench of a
Oh no,
of
no, no, no.
of what, like an 8-person passenger van or whatever
Or
it
a
used to
floor
be.
of
Yeah.
a squat,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That is not good for the back.
No, no,
Or
no. No, it's
especially
not.
at this point.
Yeah.
The only reason why I said money too, and I was just messing around with you, is because
No.
I talked to some people. Talked to Brian Crowley from Penfold,
Hmm.
and everybody I've kind of talked to about Furnace Fest and Best Friends Forever. Like, I mean, they were kind of like, honestly, like it's a chance. The money was good. Like they offered a good amount of money, and also it was a chance for us to all get back together. But one of the logistical things that they were talking about was people are spread out, and
Yeah.
so like getting
Yeah, we
people
are.
back together for practices can be like a costly thing in order
Yeah,
to do
exactly. And it's
that.
not like they're not paying for that. Like that's
Yeah,
going to come out of what gets paid. Yeah, Damon lives in Nashville, Todd lives in Milwaukee. For Hey
yeah,
Mercedes, Mike lives in Cleveland. So
yeah,
when
yeah.
we
So you
got
guys are
together for
pretty.
practice, it's it, it's a hit to the
Yeah.
bank.
So you mentioned that you have you work remotely
Yep.
for your job.
Yep.
What is it you do?
I work for an SEO company.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been sort of doing basic internet marketing forever.
Yeah.
Like since that's sort of what I went to school for, not internet marketing, because there was really not an internet when
Right.
I graduated from college. But marketing and advertising in general was always sort of a fun thing for me, and
Yeah.
some of it comes kind of natural to me. I didn't really want a job that was going to be too stressful and take up too much of my, again, I'm going to say caseload, because I wanted to play music, right? I wanted
Yeah.
to go on tour and stuff. So, um, So I worked for a long time at this place called Threadless, basically doing internet marketing, right? So about well, yeah, during the pandemic, I was like doing sort of odd jobs and stuff that luckily I was able to keep. And then a friend of mine works at this SEO company, and they needed a person, and I said I've never really done SEO, but I know a lot about internet marketing, and so they yeah, they hired me, and I enjoy it. It's a perfect it's kind of a perfect job. This has been,
Yeah.
almost 3 years now, because like I said, I work from home. Um, I'm, like a manager now, so I just sort of I manage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
manage, but working from home is really, really key, because I can go on tour, and I have done a little bit of traveling with bands and stuff over the past year. But I could also, take care of the
Plug right
cats and
in.
be here
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
cats. I could do laundry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't tell anybody, but I can go take a nap if I need to. But you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I enjoy it, and it's not super, super stressful. And despite the fact that I enjoy it well enough, I'm not like passionate. I'm not like passionate
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Like
mean?
I
So I could
love
still do music.
SEMrush.
No, right, right.
So you grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
What side of town?
I guess it would be like the northwest side. I don't live there now, but I grew up in a neighborhood called Belmont Cragen.
Okay.
That was uh, very working class, very Polish.
Okay.
It's like a Polish sort of that was the main ethnicity of that area.
Did you grow up in a musical household? Did your parents play music?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it's a long, long story that we can get into for sure. But to answer your question, no, not really. Um, but my parents realized pretty quickly that I really loved it,
Yeah.
and want just whatever. They immediately saw the passion and the spark and the like, um, just how I was drawn to it, and I was singing when I was like a really young, and stuff like that, and banging on stuff, and really vibing out to music. And so they encouraged it, and what's augmented it. They helped me out, right? They facilitated it. They were like, we need to get this kid some
Yeah.
piano lessons. We want to get him maybe a guitar or something like that. Uh,
Nurtured, maybe is the
yeah,
word.
nurture is
Nurtured it.
exactly. And so the long, long, long story that we can get into, if you like, is I was adopted.
Okay.
So I was adopted when I was born,
Okay.
basically. So it was sort of this planned adoption thing that, um, yeah. So yeah. So when I was born, I was adopted. So uh, eh, yeah. I mean, we talk. There's a lot to talk about nature versus nurture here, but like,
Right.
like I said, they weren't really particularly into music, but they were like kind enough to be like, all right, this kid likes it. Wow,
Yeah.
so
What do we
they
do to help
so they nurtured me.
grow
Yes, for
that?
sure.
Yeah. I mean, my parents, both my brother and I are musical and have been for a really long time. Both my parents are like, I don't know where you got that
Yeah.
from. Like
Well,
yeah, we
yeah.
don't.
The thing is, so I was born in 1975.
Yeah.
Um, in 2012-ish, I tracked down my birth parents,
Okay.
and they were still together. They had me when they were in high school, right? So they were high schoolers, like 18 years old in 1975. They had me and put me up for adoption. And then they stayed together and had kids. So I found out when I was 30 something or something like that. I found out I had two full siblings. One of them was in a band. Like the other one is like very artistic, and there's music in the house, like the just like huge record collection. I found out that like my sort of birth grandfather had put out a record in the 50s,
Wow.
or something like that. So it was sort of like, wow, that's funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Instilled and nurtured at the same
right.
time.
I had no idea.
Were you aware growing up that you were adopted, or was that something that kind of came out later?
No, I was aware from the
Okay.
beginning. My parents had books that were like kids' books that were like, "You're special, you're adopted." Like
Yeah.
they start right from the front, yeah, from the jump. I knew.
Yeah. Did you have any other siblings with those, or I
Yeah,
guess it would be non-biological?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I should know what the proper nomenclature. But so like, yeah, I did. I was the oldest, and then I have a younger brother who is also adopted, a few 3 years younger, and then I have a younger sister who's not adopted. So
Okay.
she's 5 years younger than I am. So,
Yeah. So you were kind of like, what kind of music did you gravitate towards?
well, I mean, when I was a kid, it was really just it was the radio. So
Yeah.
like anything that was on the radio, I was into. I had a friend who's my age at the time who lived down the street, and his parents were really into music. They loved disco, they loved the Rolling Stones, and they loved Elvis.
Nice.
And they love the Cubs, which is wild because he loves baseball and
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, he didn't like music, but like whatever. So I would always go over to their place because they had a jukebox in their basement. And so
Like a
like
literal
on
jukebox.
a literal actual jukebox that played records, played
That's awesome.
45s. So we would anytime we were there, we would go and I'd play the jukebox and play like Rolling Stones or this oldies, Dolly Parton they liked, and so I all of that stuff. I thanks to him and his family, that's why I was really in. That's how I got into like you know Rolling Stones and things like that. And they were the first sort of house on the block to have MTV. So I
Nice.
would always go
Yeah.
there and watch MTV, and we watched Thriller, the Thriller
Right,
premiere and
right.
stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really
yeah,
cool. So you did piano lessons first? Is that?
I did.
Yeah. Good foundation, right? For music theory if you're really into that.
Yeah. What's wild is I wasn't super into it.
Yeah.
I didn't take to the theory part of it, and I still don't take to the theory part
Yeah.
because I just like let me just do the thing. I don't need to know why it works,
Right.
which is, I don't know if it's a bit of a flaw in the system maybe, but it's because I feel like I'm still that way, in a lot of senses. But yeah,
Can you play by
in
ear?
hindsight, yeah, I mean,
Sort
basically,
of.
but
Yeah.
like not, I'm not like proficient playing, but like I could read music and play
Yeah.
it, but I wouldn't be able to like sight play. So, but in hindsight, hell yeah, I'm glad they forced me to
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
these because like just yeah, having that knowledge when I eventually started playing guitar was like, yeah, I get it. I understand. I know I know how to read music. I know what the scale looks like. I know what all the notes are. Like that was super, super helpful. But at the time, I didn't like it. I didn't like practicing. But yeah,
Do your scales over and over and over again. Yeah.
yeah,
I did the same path. I think
cool.
that it's a lot of people's path from starting out with piano and then moving on to something that's like piano sucks. I want to be a rock
Mhm.
star. Let's play. let's play guitar instead. For me, I had
Yeah,
an older brother, so I just kind of followed whatever he did.
cool.
And that was a lot of introduction to music too for me. So when did you start picking up the guitar?
Well, in grade school, I was playing piano. I really liked the drums. I really gravitated towards drums and singing as well.
Sure.
But when I was in high school, I played the drums, and it was rough. Like I started a band that was called a few bands, but the one that actually did stuff was called Friction, and I played drums and I sang, which was tough.
Yeah, I can
Not to
imagine.
do, but tough to like you see a band where the drummer's singing, it's just not the best maybe experience. But I was I think I might have I had the whether I had a good voice or not, we could discuss, but I had the spirit. I
Yeah,
was like, I'll
yeah.
do it. I want to do it. You guys don't want to do it. I want to do it. And I've got the lyrics. Um, but yeah, so I was playing drums in high school, but when I went to Champaign for college, I didn't want to bring my drums. And I had been given just a guitar, like a random guitar from like an ex's dad or something like that, and which was amazing that he did this because I two sort of serendipitous things happen, which is I got that guitar, and then the first person I met in Champaign played the drums.
Okay.
So I was like, this is great because I wanted to start a band there. And so I met Roy, who was the original drummer of Braid, and he introduced me to Todd, who plays bass and is, still in Braid and Hey Mercedes. And I was like, I'm going to play guitar now. And I never took any lessons up until very recently, actually. But I never took any lessons. I went to the library and took some books out to like learn chords and stuff. But yeah, it was more just like, what does this sound like? What does that sound like?
Right.
Let's learn this cover or whatever. And so that's
With
how I
I mean
started playing guitar.
with tabs, it's a lot easier that way, right? To kind of get the
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Well, I back in the day, like it wasn't
Well, you couldn't go on the
it,
internet, right? I guess.
right,
Yeah.
right. So I was literally going to the library and getting just books of chords,
Yeah.
and so I don't even know if I even got into like tabs of stuff because the shit I wanted to play and the shit I wanted to listen or yeah, write, they didn't have tabs for like Fugazi. You
Right.
know what
Right.
I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah.
Right. They had
That makes
tabs for,
sense.
I don't know, Zeppelin or something like that, which is just like, I appreciate that, but I'm not gonna be that good. Good. You know what I mean? Or like, that's gonna be too much work. Let me just do my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you like? What music were you interested in high school? Is that when you started to get into more like punk and
Yeah.
those types of things? Yeah.
Yeah. In grade school, I was more into like metal,
Okay.
like heavy metal and stuff. But then, um, listening to that stuff didn't make me want to be in a band because I was just like, these dudes are like, you know, prancing around on stage and look cool and
Right.
can play the hell out of like everything and sing like operatically. Um, but yeah, when I went to college, well, the heavy metal sort of moved into a little bit of like a hardcore punk sort of thing. But yeah, it was when I got to high school and started to or found my sort of posse there
Yeah.
because yeah, that started listening to more like Jawbreaker and more like Descendants,
Yeah.
more of like the pop, not pop punk really, but like the pop, the heavier punkish music with the punk ethos that sounded a little bit more like something I would be into, like Replacements and
Yeah.
Husker
Yeah.
Du and things like that. Yeah,
Really fast bands. Really
sure.
fast playing bands. Isn't Husker Du apparently like the fastest punk band out there? Like apparent it's like known as what are they? That Fugazi's really fast
Really?
too, right?
I mean,
I might be making
I
this shit up.
I
I don't know.
I don't think of Husker Du as being particularly fast.
I
I
might be
mean,
thinking of
from
somebody
coming
else.
from speed metal or something like that,
Yeah.
they're not very fast.
um, just forget I said anything. Um,
Edit that out.
yeah, exactly. High school is like a pretty formative time, I think, for most people.
Yeah, it is.
And so, like, what was music an outlet or an expression for you? How did you emotionally dive into music, if at all?
I did. It was I've always been shy and I've always felt a little socially awkward, but playing music and particularly, finding like-minded folks that are also maybe a little socially awkward, that like music that everybody doesn't like, um, that was what made it like just an essential part of my life to
Yeah,
have this group of people, this community that we were going to make art,
yeah,
for to just bring it. And then through that, I maybe gained a little bit of confidence in because I had to play shows, right? And
Sure.
it's for somebody who's shy or whatever, it's like that's performing is tough
Yeah.
for a lot of people. So just being like, well, I this is a part of it, and I wanted to do it, so it really helped.
You oftentimes, or I oftentimes, I think I should say, there's this weird paradox in even for myself in being very anxious when I was younger, and people
Yeah,
would call it shy, but in feeling that where things felt overwhelming, but if you put me up on stage, it was something that obviously it's nerve wracking before you go to play, but people with anxiety or that tend to feel shy can really shine in these moments and
agreed.
feel very
Totally agree.
confident in those. And I don't know why, to be honest with you. Do you have any theory on that?
I think a lot of it has to do with preparation. The because to this day, like don't surprise me and say, "Hey, get up there and
Right.
like do a thing." I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to. But like I've whatever. It's happened enough where I was like, fine. But like um, the last thing I wanted to happen when I was a kid, and to an extent now, like, is to be put on the spot, like, and just not just have something happen that is a complete surprise that I'm just not ready for or
Mm,
prepared for.
yeah.
But when it comes to like a performance, you've practiced it, you got it down, and you, sure, you're performing for other people, but you can sort of go into this mindset of like, I'm expressing myself. Thankfully, hopefully people are listening and paying attention, but also like I'm not gonna I might fuck up, but like
Right.
I've practiced
Right.
and I've prepared for this.
Yeah. Um,
I don't know if that's what it is, but I agree. It's like yeah, there is that sort of that paragraph paradox.
paradox. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with people who are very socially anxious, and theater like
Yeah.
has been a thing for
Right.
them. I mean, I worked
Totally.
with somebody who was so socially anxious that they had some sort of disassociation all the time.
Mm.
And I don't know if you know what like depersonalization or derealization is, but it's something that the body can go into when it feels extremely anxious,
Mm.
where it will kind of like people talk about out of body experiences,
Yeah.
which when something traumatic happens or you're super anxious, your body can kind of remove you from the situation.
Sure.
This person was really, I mean, social situations, even therapy,
Really.
it would happen. But he loved acting. And just that brought something out inside of them. And you would think, like, that's the most terrifying experience.
Yeah.
But when questioned about it, it was, and this has been a theme with people, that they got to embody somebody who wasn't them,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
True. I get it.
and
Yeah.
embody I think personas can be kind of different on stage too as well, not in like an acting, but I
Hmm.
know specifically for myself getting into performing in a certain way and just kind of losing yourself in the
Hmm.
music, or
Yeah.
can be specifically pretty like therapeutic. I've never felt more alive than when I'm on stage, which hasn't happened in a long time, but
Right.
you know um
Absolutely.
so I mean, is that how you feel too? Like what kind of headspace do you get into when you're performing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because w- when I have a show coming up, I'll sometimes say like, God, I can't wait for it to be over.
Hmm.
But that's not to diminish the actual performance itself because it's you're right. You're sort of this version of yourself that is given an opportunity to express oneself in a very cool, special way. It's not like I'm gonna pull out a guitar during like a work meeting or whatever, thank God. But like, but the to get back to the show being over, the feeling of a show being done is just so that it's just joy. It not
Right.
and not that it's over
No, I
but
understand.
no,
Yeah.
it's more like the job has been done. Now I can go talk with everybody. And
Yeah.
because before the set, I'm always a little nervous. I'm always worried about my voice. I tend to, hide because I don't like to talk so much because of my voice. And I just like to get in a specific headspace. But after the show, it's just like it's just that the catharsis is done,
Yeah.
and it's just now it's this wave of just relief, and I love it.
Yeah. So kind of going back, I mean, you said you wanted to use lyrics. You had something to say.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Lyrics are really, really important to me. I write a lot.
Hmm.
I write a lot to this day. Like I just have notebooks full of lyrics, and I use an app on my phone to help with that too. But like, yeah, just writing in general is like, really, really important, and I do it every single day. But yeah, in terms of like lyrics and stuff, I've always been drawn to very cool lyrics more than like a vocal melody. And to the, I try to listen to a lot of new music every week,
Yeah.
and just I am a sucker for like a simple melody but a ton of lyrics.
Yeah.
Like there's a band I like last week I just was introduced because I found them online, a band called Cusp,
Okay.
and the I just love it because the music is like relatively simple, but the lyrics are there's a lot of them, and
Yeah.
it's great, and there's not a lot of repetition, which I also enjoy. So I'm a lyrics guy for sure.
Do you tend to use, so I mean, a lot of people use that creative outlet for themes, things in their life,
Yeah,
and even processing
sure.
things, and kind of for me and other people, it's really therapeutic and
Yeah.
really helps mentally with that. Did you ever use lyrics as a outlet for emotional things that you were going through or mental health type things?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, all the time. In fact, like uh, always. I don't like there's never been a time I think when I haven't really. All of the lyrics I've ever written have come from notebooks and stuff full of words that I put there when I either felt the urge to write something or I felt like
Hmm.
I needed to write something, whether it was on tour or whether it was just like in my room or something like that or whatever. So, 99.999% of the lyrics come from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They start from there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And
did you
all of that is me processing
yeah,
life or
life
my brain.
relationships,
Yeah.
yeah, different things like that. Did you ever use music as a way to process feelings about your adoption or things like that? Was that or not? Not really.
I mean, a little bit,
Yeah.
by the time that, no, a little bit, not a ton. There's a Braid song called "Put Some Wings on That Kid" that is
Hmm.
sort of kind of about that because I was going through like refinding my parents at the time. So there's some there, but it wasn't. I I mean, I was a grown ass adult at that
Sure.
point in time, and I had already done all of the. I don't know. I didn't do much processing of my adoption. I didn't really need to because,
Sure.
like I said, I from day one I knew that was the case, and I was totally fine with it, and had a wonderful life, and still do. So like I'm happy in that case. But yeah, yeah,
I mean, things
not
that
so
make
much. I
yeah,
like writing the lyrics or writing, every day. That's processing for
yeah,
sure. But the actual putting them into a song, a little bit less.
yeah. One of the things that you said was that, like, getting off that a little bit, but like one of the things that you said that was very surprising to me is that you started um, guitar in college, because that's
Yeah.
also when Braid came about, right?
Yep.
And you guys are known primarily for kind of weird timing and weird guitar riffs and things like
Yeah.
that. So it's, to me, it's kind of surprising, like, to pick up a guitar and then all of a sudden just start writing strange shit that is
Because I didn't
like
know what I was
hard to.
doing. Because I didn't know what I was doing. Like I think, it's just it harkens back to me trying to learn piano when they're just like, no, you got to do like this and learn this. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. Let me just do this thing
Yeah,
and make a song.
yeah,
Right. And so that's why, and you're listening to Fugazi and you're just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'm gonna make my guitar make that noise or
right.
like try to, what when I would go see them play or whatever, sometimes I would kind of like watch what they were doing and be like, oh, I'll try to do that. But yeah, so I think it was just the sort of natural result of being an amateur, a
That's really
beginner at the guitar.
that's interesting, because when I did talk to Steve, we kind of talked about how he had never had lessons
Yeah.
before, and I kind of asked him. Well, I did ask him this question, and I'm curious for what your answer might be. I just asked, like, do you think actually learning theory on the guitar or any of that kind of more educational based stuff would have stifled creation, or may have gotten too much into your head about things in order,
Yeah.
to create?
I mean, I think so. Because, I mean, at the time it was just too much work. And I was just, let me write a song as opposed to like practicing getting better at the guitar specifically because I want to get better at the guitar. And it's
Yeah,
like, I'll just get better at the guitar if I start writing more and more songs and play shows and whatever. So that was that. I mean, so it was less about like me being like mindful of being like, I don't want to spend too much time about the math involved
sure.
of playing guitar and just let me just write the song. But it was more just the time that I didn't. And like I mentioned earlier, like I took some like jazz guitar lessons
Yeah,
recently that were like semi helpful because I learned some cool chords or whatever. But there was a bit of music theory involved with it, and I was bad at it. Like
right.
there were people in the class who were just they knew music theory backwards and forth. They knew it, but when it came time to play, they couldn't play.
Yeah,
Like they just were really couldn't play. And I was just the opposite. I was just like I could play this, but if you need to tell me what the fifth of this and
yeah,
is and how
no
to
idea.
transpose this and that, like I could figure it out, but it is not fun to
Yeah,
do. And I don't know it off the top of my head.
yeah. Um, Braid forms in what year?
93.
93. Uh, how do you guys form? Who do you meet? What happens?
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't bring my drums down. And the first person I interacted with, and I had made contact with him before I even went to Champaign. It was like maybe during that summer before school. Roy played drums.
Hmm.
And he was, the first person I got there, and I was like, I want to start a band, like down here. And so he played drums, introduced me to Todd, who played bass. Excuse me. And there was another guy, Pete, who was a friend of mine from the Chicago area, excuse me, that also played guitar. So that was just, and there was a woman named Kate who was also friends with Roy, and I wanted her to sing as well. Like, so because I really wanted, I don't know, I wanted a female voice in the band. Um, and we just started practicing right away. Like, the cool part about meeting them, Todd in particular, is that he's a big fan of Mike Watt. the bass player
Okay.
Mike Watt.
Yeah.
And Mike Watt, who was in the Minutemen and Firehose, just had this just insane work ethic, touring ethic when it came to making music, producing music, touring and playing, and touring and stuff.
Yeah.
I when I was in high school and in Friction, same. I wanted to play all the time. We did do a tour, like we did stuff. We practiced. We recorded records and stuff. So Todd and I were just immediately very like-minded in the fact it's like, let's go, let's do it, let's play a show. And so I got to, Champaign for school, and I guess it would have been August of 1993. Met Roy, met Todd and our friend Pete, and we just started Braid, and we played our first show in December.
Where does that name come from?
We needed a name,
Sure.
and at the time, the one word sort of names were in vogue. Our
Yeah.
favorite band at the time is this band called Gage
Okay.
that I'll talk a lot about because they were just really, really influential to me and to Kitsellas and probably Steve Lamos as well, when we were in high school. And so when we needed to name the band, it was like, wow, there's Gage, there's Hoover, there's Fugazi, there's um, Hum. I don't know, but like, so we were just like, we needed a band name, and we even probably used a dictionary. There was really no rhyme or
Rhyme or
reason other
reason.
than
Yeah.
Braid sounded good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we, like I said, it was in vogue to have that one word name.
Did you have a specific style you guys were going for, or was it just kind of whatever came out?
Um, it really was whatever came out. However, Friction sounded like, I think, well, I didn't play guitar in Friction, but I think I was very, very influenced by the Andy who played guitar in Friction, by the choices he made when it came to writing guitar parts and helping write songs too. So that played a part in it. And Friction sounded like Jawbreaker. Like we wanted to be Jawbreaker.
Yeah.
And so when you take, I get there and I still love Jawbreaker, and you have Roy who plays, like a fucking wild person and a very jazz influenced sort of style. And then you got me who does not know how to play the guitar very well. You get sort of Braid. Like it's like us trying to do like
Yeah.
Jawbreaker or Jawbox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
So,
guys
but yeah.
immediately? Did you guys immediately tart? So that tart. Did you immediately start touring?
No, no, because at the time Friction was still a band.
Okay.
But obviously I was not in Chicago anymore. The aforementioned Andy went to school in Ann Arbor in Michigan. So we weren't as active, but we still were a band. So at the time, like Braid, we played around town in Champaign, but we didn't tour until Chris joined the band. So um, when Chris came down to school, he's a year younger than I am, the other guitar player of Braid.
Yeah.
Um, he basically immediately joined Braid because we wanted to do more, and the Pete who was in the band, I don't know, we were really on the same page, and so we had Chris come aboard, and that's when we just started. That's when it was like go go go.
Okay. Yeah. Was that intentional? Go go go. Like
94.
did more like fire added to the band because of the other band members,
Yeah.
or what? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because Chris also sang.
Yeah.
So he played guitar and sang. I played guitar and sang. I was like, we're Fugazi.
Right.
We did it. We've achieved our version of the Fugazi framework. And so like now let's go, go, go. So once Chris joined the band, it was like every break we would go on tour. In summers we'd go on tour. Yeah.
Was it tough juggling school and the band at the same time?
Not really.
No.
Not really. I had this agreement that I made with my parents. Actually, to their credit and to my benefit, they were like, "You can, you do whatever you want with your life. Like we support you. However,
Right.
get a
Asterisk.
degree,
Yeah.
get a degree, graduate college, do whatever you want, graduate college." And so I was like, "You got it, mom and dad."
Yeah.
So that's what I did. But I chose a path, like I said earlier, like communications, advertising, that was relatively easy for me. And so that I could play music and be in a band and go on tour and stuff like that. So uh, it wasn't that tough to juggle the two.
Yeah. I mean, did you have any aspiration of going into advertiser or anything like
No,
that, or was it,
no,
it's
no,
just kind of
no,
like,
not one bit.
yeah,
But however, what was great about being in that sort of curriculum was that I was given access to a few things. Like, here's how you can make a website, like like from scratch,
right,
like learn HTML code. And this was like brand new
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
And so I was like, got to make a website for Braid. So I was like, I made this website for Braid and put photos on it. And I don't know if we were even putting music on it at that point in time. And then because I was in, advertising, we have access to like this computer lab where you can make flyers. So great, show me Quark Express or whatever that it was back then. I was just like,
yeah,
great, now I can make flyers for Braid.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
When did you kind of know that this thing had legs and that it was kind of like something that was gaining more popularity? Was there a moment of arrival? Was there a moment of, yeah,
no, not really. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I wasn't very aware of that. I did notice that more people were coming to our shows, which was great. When we did go on tour, like I said, we toured a lot, and it was just sort of our way of getting the word out. Um, so like, we would go and play Little Rock or Austin or St. Louis or something like that. And then the next time we would come, there'd be more people there,
yeah,
which was great. That was just like worked out for us. We also did this thing that like when when we put out our first Braid put out our first record, Frankie Welfare Boy, we had a note in the liner notes that said, "We want to be on your comp." So like we got a lot of people that were just like from like all over the country and like Richmond and Phoenix and New York or something, Boston, right? Hi, I'm doing a comp. You want to be on it? Yeah. And then so we would just go and record whatever the newest song we had with, send it to him. So that was great because then when we were on tour and we played Boston, there were people there that
right,
knew us
yeah,
because we're on this record. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
Was it ever like, I don't know, was it cool to hear people singing lyrics you wrote back to you on, could you even hear that during the show?
Not really. Not really. Not really because, well, we did have songs that had long enough breaks in them that it wasn't, you could hear it. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was cool.
yeah,
It was cool, but I always just thought of it as like a just a community. And I always just assumed the crowd was full of other people in bands, and then when they
right,
come up
yeah,
and play, I'll come and watch you guys. And yeah,
yeah. No, that's really cool. I in inhabiting that space too. I think I was talking to Josh Brigham from Hope's Fall a while ago. He was one of the first
yeah,
episodes that I had,
nice.
and I was talking with him about the what was that like? Because they played Furnace Fest, and it's like, well, what's it like watching the crowd reaction, singing lyrics, like all that stuff? And his response essentially was, I was just worried about the sound. Like that was like what was on my mind. It wasn't even, to be present in that moment, so to speak. It's a musicianship sort of thing, whether or not you can hear yourself playing or does it sound like shit. And was that ever like, I don't know, Braid's a pretty chaotic band. So like,
Yeah,
was there ever any kind of, where did the musicianship come in and just sort of like, how are we sounding? Or did you know when you played a shit show? Were you just
yeah,
like, yeah,
yes. Not that I see. I'm the person in the band. I feel like I've got a pretty bad ear for the specific mm, minutia of sound
Hmm.
quality and whatever. And when it comes to recording stuff and stuff, I let the masters take care of it
Sure.
because I I just don't have. I'm like, this sounds really great, and they're like, whoa, God, no. Like so. Anyway, like I said, I'm just like, let me just do the thing. But yeah, so I'll know if we played a bad show because I know I
Sure.
played bad, but as far as like, oh my God, the lyrics or the vocals were too low and blah blah blah. I don't know if that
Yeah.
is the case ever. And then as far as like seeing people sing lyrics, I'm not. I'll look at people like I'm not. I don't like close my eyes and think I'm somewhere else. But like, I don't know. I just don't notice it
Sure.
that much.
Sure.
Do they? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you can go back and watch your guys' DVD.
I don't want
And-
to. I
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
but sure,
I
I'm
hate
sure I could.
hearing my voice on this podcast anyway. But I mean, you guys are young and resilient and going on tour and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what frame of mind did that take any kind of harder toll on, like, mentally, or was it all just
What?
euphoria?
Yeah, no. Where it really, for me, it was mostly euphoria,
Yeah.
but where it really took a toll was on our interpersonal relationships, in that we all dealt with the rigors of travel
Yeah.
in different ways. And we were so young, like you said, and resilient to an extent, but also being like, not as respectful of other people's space, right?
Say more about that.
Well, like we would go on tour and we're all in a van, and Chris wants to bring his art supplies or something like that, or just we're just always together. We're always together, and for a while, we would come back from tour and we lived together.
Oh
So
God.
it's just like, we
Yeah.
we should have given each other space to chill out, like
B.
just be, or I need to do this thing, like, and not have it feel like, oh my God, the band is breaking up or something like that. We were pretty bad, I think, about that, especially towards the end of the first section or the first part of Braid, like breaking up. Um, where Chris in particular was just like, he just we just weren't really getting along because he just wanted to do other things,
Hmm.
and we were just like, no, we got to stay on this, on this in this race car, and go go go, and just like be like next to each other and stuff. And then he just wasn't interested in that. But like the thing is, now that we're much older and wiser and more respectful of each other, um it works so well because we're just, we're we're old friends, and we can let each other have the space
Yeah.
that we need.
You learn a lot through maturity, right? And looking
Yeah,
back on stuff and mistakes you made, and
sure. Yeah.
um, that that different kind of stuff. I can imagine. So mentally, it was hard relationally,
Yeah.
is what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that obviously hit. Oh wait, no, I gotta ask this question really quickly. So
Sure.
my favorite song is New Nathan Detroit. It's like I
Cool.
like by far I love
Thanks.
a lot of other stuff, but what's that song about? If you
Nathan
remember.
Detroit. Yeah, I mean, basically, the whole most of Frame, like, so when we were a band and making albums and whatever, we pretty much recorded songs as they were written, right? So the whole like it's all very chronological.
Yeah.
So when we were writing the songs that eventually became on Framed Canvas, we were dealing with a lot of the songs on there are frankly kind of about being a young person in a band.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean? Which
yeah.
is whatever. It is what it is. But
Well,
that's what
Nathan
they
Detroit is
like.
from Guys and Dolls, right?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned acting. I was in musicals in
Okay,
high school, and I played Nathan Detroit
okay.
once, right? And so that's sort of where it is. And like Addie is like Adelaide from Guys and Dolls. So like it was just sort of, yeah, using the sort of framework of that play or
Hmm.
musical to superimpose what was happening in our lives, where it was like playing music, doing doing things that made us happy and that we were passionate about, but also like having to deal with like our personal lives.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I read something to the effect of you, and this could be completely wrong,
No, we'll
that
see.
you guys kind of going on tour. Part of it was about like you guys going on tour and then coming back and then hearing things about you guys, or people kind of like, I don't want to say spreading rumors, but like maybe
Mm,
talking bad about you
talking
guys,
shit.
or yeah, talking shit, um, type of thing, and kind of having to deal with some of that. And I think the you guys are doing it. You're in the trenches,
Yeah.
you know, type of thing, and then having people like just talking shit.
It was the time. That was part of the time, right? It was the time of like it wasn't Pitchfork yet. It was the time of just like sassy zines that sometimes would take pot shots or at maybe bands that were starting to get a little popular.
Yeah.
I don't fault. I mean, we made it through. It's fine. But like, yeah, I think that what we've always been good at and like what we still are is we're nice. We're a nice band.
Yeah.
We really are. Like I can't stress enough how important it was to be in a band or to be watching bands growing up, and not hair metal bands, but when I was in high school and going to shows and seeing bands come through when they were nice. When I would go up and talk to them and they wanted to talk and they'd
Yeah.
be like, yeah, this is, yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, yeah, where are you tomorrow? Like, they were just so nice. Like Fugazi, you could walk up to him and talk to him. Like all of these bands that were coming through, the Chicago area at that time, like the nice ones were the ones where it's like, yeah, that's great. And I would, it meant so much to me. So when it became for me to switch roles and be the person on stage, it's just like, be nice.
Yeah.
Someone to come talk to them, talk to the person, ask them their name. Like just like it's a really big deal for me. And I hope that, like I talked to some person who appreciated it the way I appreciated it when I was a kid talking
Yeah.
to people. So I guess the fact to bring it back is I remember there was one zine, maybe it was Maximum Rock and Roll or Heart Attack or some zine like that, that had a list of like the nicest bands. And we were on it. And I was like, this
Nice.
is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're nice. So, I mean, I think that, it was just sort of the maybe a little bit of backlash from bands gaining popularity and then just having the zines and stuff to sort of be rumor milly about it. And there,
I
I think,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
always kind of
that's it.
interpreted a little bit too about the um, juxtaposition or the kind of like business side of things. Like I don't know. There's always the business. There's the lyric like, "What's the point if you don't?" Basically, what's the point if you don't get paid? If you play and you don't get paid? Like, there's a business side to it, but there's also the creative side that's like,
Yeah.
fuck you, man, I do this. You know what I mean? I do it for the art, and like, just even feeling, I think, outside pressure as you're growing older to like make money, or like battling up against that,
Yeah.
right? Type thing.
Yeah.
So that was the way that I cut, like, which I thought was cool. I think people get into bands, not necessarily, at least in that scene, was just kind of like do it for the love of
Yeah, well, it's funny
playing it for.
because that lyric in particular was written not from really our mouth to be coming from our mouths, because we at the point in time we were just like play play play, it doesn't matter if
Right.
you get paid,
Right.
but being like there are people in this scene that
What's the point? Yeah.
would say what's the
Okay.
point if you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so, with relationships come to a head and you guys eventually break up.
yeah.
Do you know what you're doing after that? Like, is that a seminal thing? Is there
Yeah.
a grief process to that?
Not, no, there wasn't for Braid, because when Braid broke up, we already had started Hey Mercedes,
Okay.
right? So I think at one point in time during Braid's, the end part of that section of Braid, Todd and Damon, who was playing drums at this point in time, and I talked about it, and we were just like, I think it's time for Braid to end. Let's get another band going. And so
Yeah.
it was already in the works. So
Yeah.
there was no, and then that band was go, go, go.
Yeah, yeah. What was your kind of purpose in Hey Mercedes?
To keep it going.
Okay.
That was it. I mean, it's Braid without Chris, right? Plus
Sure.
another person. So like what I said earlier is just like, yeah, he just wanted to, we weren't getting along. He wanted to do something else, and we'd all then mutually decided that it was the best thing to do, was to break up. And so we we wanted to keep the momentum going, because at that point in time, we had we were pretty close with the Get Up Kids. Braid
Yeah.
was. They had signed to Vagrant, and they were like doing their own sort of label imprint or whatever, and so they were just like, we want Hey Mercedes now, because they
Yeah.
knew we were just like, we want to go go go. And so it was pretty quickly we were on Vagrant and then doing all those tours.
When I did talk to Damon, he mentioned something that I think maybe from his point of view that there was a little bit more of an intent to make things a little bit more accessible in terms of musicality, in terms of like not even didn't necessarily say like co- commercially more successful, but like more accessible in the way that songs were written, or kind of like yeah. Does that ring true for you, or
Well, sort of personally, I wanted to be able to sing better. So when we were writing songs with Braid, the sort of regular order of operations was Chris and I would write guitar parts.
yeah,
We would write guitar parts, and they'd be fucking crazy.
yeah,
And then we would get together and make a song. And then when the song was kind of already done, I would go in and or Chris and I would go in and put lyrics on it. But we have to like learn how to play the song and sing the song,
sure,
right? Um, with Hey Mercedes, we changed that a little bit, where I would write vocal melodies with the guitar part. And a lot of times that meant my guitar part was easier.
right,
So that was it. Because honestly, I think that, I mean, no one, maybe no one's going to agree with me, but I think that like the first Hey Mercedes record could have been a Braid. The next Braid, if we stayed together, the record after Framing Canvas probably would sound a little bit like Every Night Fireworks.
yeah,
It wasn't, honestly, it wasn't a like conscious effort to try to make more accessible music, at least for me, because
right,
for me, it was just, I want to make music that's a little easier for me to play and sing.
right,
Yeah.
right. I think Damon has sort of mentioned too that for him also there's this, you guys are at the point in the scene that's just really exploding.
Hmm.
It's going really big, and there's all these other, I don't want to like, you're not competing with each other, but like you're now on a label. I'm sure there's some sort of pressure to be successful in a certain way. At least maybe some band members felt that, or did you guys sign a large record deal? Was it small? Like, was there any pressure to kind of be successful?
No, no, there wasn't. I mean, actually, for when Loses Control was a thing, or when we did that record, I felt like there was pressure, so there was some friction there.
Yeah,
But in terms of when we first got there, I didn't feel pressure. But the thing that I think also maybe made the songs feel a little more accessible is that we immediately went on tour on this Vagrant America tour, and we were playing with, excuse me, like Dashboard Confessional and Alkaline Trio and Saves the Day, big places,
Sure.
right? And so the Braid way of this odd time signatures and maybe some tough guitar parts. I don't know. It just it maybe just didn't translate. We felt like it wouldn't translate as well because we're playing a big place,
Right.
and we want to, not sound like an absolute train wreck because we don't, whatever. So that's probably part of it as well because we were always Braid to this day, and any band I'm in is we're aware of how it's going to sound live. Like
Yeah.
we're going to, yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to
I
make sure that we're aware of, keep that in mind when we're making the song.
yeah. I mean, all those albums are amazing from a standpoint. So,
Thanks.
I was lucky enough to see you guys do your reunion tour with Minus the Bear,
Yeah.
in New
Cool.
Jersey a long time ago. Minus the Bear was
Yeah.
like one of my it's still is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah. We played best friends.
Yeah, I know. I know. Trust me, I know.
Hmm.
um, uh, but it was funny when I talked to Damon about that and Jake. I just had Jake on
Rad.
3 interviews ago.
Cool.
The word for that tour was debauchery,
Yeah.
pure debauchery.
It was bad. It
You
was
say that
kind
with
of
such a
bad
serious face.
that it was bad.
Yeah.
Well, I felt in retrospect, like I felt bad. I feel bad for the people that came to see us play because we were having so much fun. We
Hmm.
were having too much fun. We were having too much fun. Like like nowadays when there's a show, like we all know what we have to do for the show
Right.
because the show is the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing that people are paying to come see us play. Um, they don't want to see us be like fucking idiots and mess on the guitar because somebody drank too much or something like that. And
Right.
like, so, you know, after that tour, we kind of broke up again. And then when we got back together, there were sort of just these kind of ground rules. Then we didn't really, I don't think we put them down on paper or even mention it, but just we're just like, we need to make sure that we play, that we play
Right.
well and understand that people are coming to see us play in Portland or in New Jersey or something like that. It's not like, oh, they had an off night and we'll see them next month or something like, no, no, no. This is their one chance to see Braid or Hey Mercedes. So it's just like, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
We
assuming
didn't
like,
keep that in mind on
but
that tour.
I mean like in just the scene itself and touring and stuff like that was I hear stories. I've talked about stories about just how alcohol was excessive or
Hmm.
substance use was just a hard thing to kind of like keep under control. Was that ever an issue for you?
No, I mean, maybe drinking. There were definitely points in time where I drank too much before playing and just train wreck.
Yeah.
Couldn't sing, couldn't play. Not so much though. But of course it did happen, and that tour in particular was I mean all the shows were train wrecks, but yeah, there were some where it was just like just looking back on like I was just having a blast, but
Right.
like with my friends, but like looking back on it, I was like, God, boy.
I don't know
I'm
if I
sure that
mean
I think the
from
New
this
Jersey
point,
show was
yeah.
probably great.
Yeah, yeah, and I was just kind of fairly, as weird as it sounds, new to Braid at that time, so I wasn't like fully invested in the songs.
Yeah,
There were some that I liked, but I mean, I was really into Minus the Bear too, so that was like an
yeah,
extra, it was a treat for me as well.
yeah.
But I guess I
Sure.
just kind of want to like really kind of bring home you said that you've been in therapy for years, right? Like
Yeah.
7 years. Are what are some of the bigger things that you've gotten out of going to therapy?
Uh it's just it's really I just wish I had gone sooner. it unfortunately, took a bit of a tragedy, like was getting divorced, right? That made me go to it and understand that it was helpful and important, right? But
Yeah.
because before that, I probably had a stigma with it too, where I was just like, I don't need to go. But like even like now, when my personal life is good, it's not like in tumults like it was when I first started. I still go because it's really, really helpful. What what has really helped is understanding. I don't know. It's tough to maybe put into words, but like understanding the issues of being me,
Hmm.
like but not being judgmental of the way I
Sure.
am,
Yeah.
not and also not like trying to change everything about the way I am.
Right.
Um, I found like I don't know where I found it, but I was just like there's a thing called a HSP, a highly sensitive person.
Yeah.
And I was someone I think my therapist was like, well, you're probably like an empath. And I was like, yeah, I mean, of course. And then I was like, well, do some reading about it. And I again went to the library and got some books and was like reading. I was like, this is me. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't believe it. And then so at that point, I found some like Instagram accounts and podcasts and stuff that like help people that have that sort of proclivity or that trait.
Yeah.
And man, it's awesome because it's just like you feel like nobody's like me. Why isn't it like I
Right.
can't talk to anybody or no one understands me or something like that.
Yeah.
So definitely um label, like getting not label, just like understanding what it is and
Right.
that it's a thing,
Right.
and um have then having this opening it up to all these tools that are at your disposal for when you feel one way or
Yeah.
another.
I mean, there's different ways of doing therapy. There's different, like if you have a specific, mental illness per se, like depression or anxiety or whatever have you, bipolar, like they're lenses, right? Like you are
Right.
not the diagnosis. It's just a
Right.
framework for things that you see. And I think it's always been important from I work from a relation. It's called relational psychodynamic therapy. So we really focus on
Mm-hmm.
relationships and how
Mm.
we interact with relationships and
Yeah.
how the relationship with the therapist itself is playing out
Yeah.
things in the past. But I've always said that like the people have the answers inside of them, and it is my job as a therapist to help unearth those
Yeah.
things,
That's great. Yeah.
and
I
to
agree.
help accept who you are as a person, and learn
It
about.
took a while to get there,
Yeah, but
but
like
that's
oftentimes we come to therapy when the car's broken down,
right.
and it's
Like I
like,
did.
yeah, but you're doing like the maintenance, right? You're doing the oil
Hmm.
changes now
Yeah.
to make sure
Right.
that the car kind of keeps running, and I mean
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Um,
Because the world keeps going on, right?
right.
Like the world's is and when I say the world keeps going, it's like it gets shittier
Yeah.
sometimes, right? So
Especially
when
now.
right, so like now I live with my girlfriend and her two daughters, they're 13-year-old twins. And so like fucking Trump gets elected. I need to talk with my person and be like, how can I be the best? Like they're scared. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I need to be for the best, like person rock for them in a way. I don't
Yeah.
want to say like whatever, a rock, but you know what I mean? Just like how can I support?
Right.
Like, these are just things that like knowing what we know about each other because you're my therapist and etc. Like this is something that's on my mind and like it's not sure it's maintenance, but it's just like because of these outside forces,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It has been fantastic talking to you, Bob. Your music has been an inspiration, and I hope you know that like people do really connect with your stuff, and you know
Thanks. Yeah.
that I hope that you can feel that when it
Yeah.
does for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I
So
do. Especially talking to people
yeah.
helps. Yeah. I do, and I really do appreciate it, and it just makes me very happy.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. You have an amazing rest of the day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Have a great rest of the day.
Bye-bye. You too.
Bye. Well, that does it for another episode of Safe and Sound. I'm your host, Jeremy Houtsma, licensed mental health counselor. I'd like to thank Bob Nanna for coming on again and sharing his story. If you could do us a small favor and go onto your favorite podcasting platform wherever you're listening and just give us a rating, that would be excellent. Safe and Sound is a labor of love by me, Jeremy Houtsma. Our opening song is Burned Out and Broken In by The Beautiful Mistake. The outro is Safe and Sound by Small Brown Bike. We drop new episodes every other week, so please stay tuned. We'll see you later. Thanks for listening.